So I decided to cook tamales for my cultural dish. And so I was unable to get the video of us uh, readying the meat, but I'll insert a picture of what it looks like once it's done. So to start off, we used pork. You can use any meat, but we decided to use pork. We seasoned it with comino, and you want to make sure you over season it because while it's cooking, the season will seep into it. And then we added we cut up an entire onion and added that to the pork, and then we added minced garlic. We did about 3 tablespoons of that, and we left it to cook in a crock pot overnight on high. And once we fell asleep, we made sure to switch it to low just in case any fire started. We didn't want that to happen. That would have been bad. And then the next day, we made a chili sauce to help season the pork more and to make it a little bit spicy. So we removed the seeds from our chilies, and the chilies we used was New Mexico chilies. So once we did that, we cut up the chilies and we put them into a blender with water, and this time we used garlic cloves that we chopped up, and we added more comino to season it up some more, and we put that in a blender and blended it all up and made sure there's no chunks. And once we made sure there's no chunks, we simmered it. Now we ended up adding more garlic to one. We made 2 separate batches where we added more garlic to one than the other, so one was spicier. The spicier one, we ended up adding 3.5 cloves of garlic, I'm pretty sure. And I'll insert a picture for what those looked like once we were done doing that. And so then after we did that, we made masa, which we had a powder that we already used. And so to make the masa, you can either add water, which is what it said on the packaging that we had, but we decided we wanted good texture and more flavor and color. So we used the grease and the fat from the pork and mixed that in until we got the right amount of texture, and I also have a picture of what that looked like after. So in all the ingredients that we ended up using, we had masa, and then we used dry corn husks. We soaked them in water so they wouldn't break on us, but you can either use corn husks or you can use banana. So here's a picture of the chili sauce after we had blended everything and after it had finished simmering, and then we added that to the pork. So here's a picture of the meat once it's cooked, and then once it's cooked, you add the chili sauce to the meat. So here's a picture of my Nana kneading the masa dough. We decided to add more chili sauce to this so we could have some more spice. So here is me just making the tamales, and I decided to do a time lapse for this so it didn't take up all the time in the video. We're getting ready to cook our first batch. So underneath this aluminum foil, there is water, and this here in the middle is an object that can withstand heat, so we can stack up our tamales, and the water underneath will help the steam to cook the masa. So this is how we layered them to cook them, but we put ours too close together, so we had to cook them longer than usual. So when the tamale is done cooking, the outer layer, which is the masa, will roll right off the corn husk. Okay, so tamales are often made for big holidays such as birthdays, christenings, Day of the Dead, Christmas, Thanksgiving, any big holiday like that. So tamales, when they're made for Day of the Dead, they're usually made as offerings to give to the dead, along with bread, Cheerios, sugar skulls, any other food, really. There's actually a joke when it comes to making tamales for Christmas. My Nana told me that they always made them so they had something to wrap and unwrap. So tamales can actually be reported as early as 8,000 to 5,000 BCE. And in 2016, the first ever National Tamale Day was celebrated on March 23rd. Okay, so because tamales are in such a high demand, people can actually make livings off of them. They can sell anywhere from $15 to $25 a dozen because it takes so much work to make them, and it takes at least 2 people to make tamales. We made at least 3 dozen, maybe 4 dozen, and it took us 2 days. We had all our preparation done one day, and then we spent another day wrapping the tamales up. Okay,
I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make tamales.
This video on how to make tamales. Just a side note, we refer to cumin as cumino, but it's really the same thing.